So hello and welcome to the Computer Lab. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to complete link aggregation between your Synology NAS drive and a Unifi Gen2 24 port switch. Now I've got a Synology DS920 Plus in the office which is being set up for a customer, so I just thought it'd be a handy video to show you how to enable link aggregation on this particular device. Now if you have a device and it's not this model, it's worth going onto Synology's website and just double checking on the spec sheet to make sure that your device supports it. You can see here this one supports link aggregation with failover support on two RJ45 connections, and if I go to the features page and just scroll to the bottom, and I'll show you the image of the back of the unit, and you can see there labeled number 7, two 1 gigabit RJ45 ports. So it's worth just clicking onto the Synology website if you're looking at doing this project or enabling it on your device. Going to the spec sheet, scrolling down, and then making sure that spec says either 2 or 4. Some of the bigger units have 4 RJ45 ports. Make sure it says it's got link aggregation built in. And just before we go into the actual settings, it's worth just covering what Synology Knowledge Center says about link aggregation. So the important bit here is that link aggregation is all about bandwidth. It's not about how quick the connection is. So Synology NAS supports multi-LAN, allowing you to combine those LAN interfaces using link aggregation technology. And then highlighted, link aggregation increases the bandwidth of your Synology NAS by aggregating multiple network interfaces and provides traffic failover to maintain network connection in case of connection is down. So basically, if you cut through a cable or one of the cables, the other one will pick up the workload. And it is all about bandwidth, nothing to do with speed. So once you understand that, then the other bit to check is to make sure your switch has the ability to connect using 802.3AD dynamic link aggregation. Like I say, I'm using the Unifi 24 port Gen 2 switch, and I know this particular switch supports 802.3AD, but it's worth checking, make sure your switch has the ability to connect in that manner before you start changing stuff on your Synology device. So just before we start playing around in the settings, you can see that I am already logged into my Unifi 24 port switch, and I am already logged into my Synology NAS drive. Before we do the settings, I just wanted to quickly show you a speed test that is running on my on this particular Synology NAS drive. Incidentally, if you want to learn how to install Open Speed Test on your Synology NAS, then I'll put the link in the top right hand corner now, and that shows you how you can have this Open Speed Test tool running on your Synology device, so you can test the internal speed networks. Nothing to do with going out on the internet. This is internal speed networks, so from a Windows based machine or a Mac based machine to your Synology box. So it's a great way of testing your network speed. So I'm going to run this speed test because it's important, because we're going to run this at the end and there should be no difference in the speed at all. So once I've completed this speed test, the download and the upload, you can see it's got a 1 millisecond ping, 960 down, and the upload should be something similar. But once we've enabled the link aggregation, we shouldn't see any difference in the speed at all, because it is all about bandwidth. If you remember when we just covered the link aggregation on the Knowledge Center, that there was telling us all about the bandwidth, nothing to do with how quick the connection is going backward and forward. So with all that being said, we need to head over to our Synology DSM software and then head down to the control panel, and then from the control panel we need to go to connectivity and then network. Click on network and then over into the network interface, and you'll be able to see that I have my LAN 1 and LAN 2 connected. Basically my two RJ45s are connected into my switch into 2 of the ports, and I've got a static IP set on this. Yours might say DHCP. Click on create and then create bond, and then we are going to be picking up on the 802.3AD like we spoke about earlier, so put a tick in that little radio box there. And you'll note here it says it must be enabled on your switch beforehand. So some of the switches you need to enable it on, but we've already spoke about making sure your switch has the ability and the connectivity to connect via 802.3AD. Click on the next button. Then if you're connecting 2 or 4, they will be all listed and ticked in here depending on which ones you want to create your link aggregation with. Click on next. Now you can see on mine that I have this particular NAS drive set with a static IP address, And obviously if you are using DHCP, you don't have to worry about any of these manual configurations here. If you are using the manual configuration, then just make sure you've got the correct IP, subnet, gateway, DNS server. I think that goes without saying, but yours is probably DHCP. Anyway, once you've got to this point, click on done, and we'll get another alert that flags us to the services on each bonded interface, for example, firewall rule, and DHCP server settings will be disabled once the bond is created. Do you wish to proceed? Click on yes if you are happy with that. And now the Synology drive goes away and applies the link aggregation to LAN 1 and LAN 2 in my case. So whilst this is happening, now we know that the Synology NAS is applying the link aggregation, we can now head over to our Unifi switch. So I'm already logged in to my Unifi UI. I've clicked on devices, and then I've clicked on the 24 port switch like so. Over to the settings tab, I can then access my ports by either scrolling down to where it says ports and then picking the port that I want to edit. 23 and 24 I've just relabeled Synology, as you can see there. Yours will probably have the port numbers, or I can click on the picture at the top. So I'm going to click on 23 and I'm going to click on port profile override. And I'm going to scroll down to where it says operations. It's currently set on switching. I'm going to then click there and then click on aggregate. And you see, because I'm already on port 23, that is shadowed out. So it's saying, okay, which do you want to aggregate 23 with? I want to aggregate with 24. Incidentally, you can see there, it's 25 and 26, meaning I can aggregate 4 ports if I wanted to do. So from there, I just need to leave the link speed on auto negotiation. And then the last thing, we just need to apply the changes in the bottom right hand corner. So click on it there, and you can see there the port changes were saved successfully. Now if I hover over port 23, it says port 23-24, and then obviously if I click off there and hover over 24, it says port 24 is aggregating with port 23, as you can see there. So we now know that aggregation is working with port 23 and 24. You might have done aggregation across 4 ports, and it might be worth just hovering over all 4 just to check that it is connected and working. So we just need to log in and check the DSM network interface and make sure the bond has completed correctly, and then network interface has set up for link aggregation. And you can see there my network status is now 2000 megabits per second. That is being combined in LAN 1 and LAN 2 at 1000 megabits per second. So I now know that link aggregation is now set correctly on my Synology NAS drive. I know that link aggregation is set correctly on my Unifi switch. So the last thing I wanted to show you guys is the speed test, which hopefully it won't show no difference at all, because link aggregation on this Synology NAS is nothing about speed. It is all about the bandwidth. So the time when you will see the difference is maybe if you're watching a Plex movie, or there's several people watching Plex movies, and then you want to send files also to the actual same NAS drive, then that's when the bandwidth really comes into play. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please do hit the subscribe button. Please do hit me with any comments below, and hit the thumbs up if you like this video. And thanks again for watching the Computer Lab on YouTube.